and welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Inferno. I'm Hannah Flanagan alongside Aston Sharon, and we're ready to bring you the latest in the world of Arizona State athletics.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm excited to be an anchor this week alongside you. The Sun Devils have had a lot of key contributions this season and this past week amongst all sports, and this week is no different.
From the soccer pitch in Tempe to McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas, our Tanner Buck gives us another edition of this week's Top 6 Plays, the Sun Devil 6.
Thanks, Hannah. I cannot wait to kick off this week's edition of the Sun Devil 6. Coming in at number 6, making her return to the courts, is opposite hitter Naomi Glover, who sets the tone, scoring the match point with authority in the first set of ASU volleyball's match against Pepperdine. At number 5 is utility player Sarah Bergen, who threads the needle on a precision pass to midfielder Addison Baltadano, who sneaks it past the goalkeeper for the second goal in soccer's win over number 10 BYU. Making a second appearance at number 4, knowing how to score, is Glover, who in signature fashion finishes the last set with a kill for a match point in the last set against GCU, completing the sweep for ASU volleyball. At number 3 with a bang is Addison Baltadano, who breaks through the claws of this Cougar defense after getting past and then locates forward Cameron Valladares, who gets behind enemy lines and scores the first goal, taking a 1-0 lead against BYU. Coming in at number 2, not to fear, quarterback Sam Levitt is here as he escapes the paws of a defender and unhitches the trailer early in the second quarter for the first down against Baylor. At number 1, with the connection like Maverick and Goose, whenever Sam Levitt puts the ball in the vicinity of Jordan Tyson, he gets loose, as the ball is perfectly thrown, giving the Sun Devils a late lead in the fourth quarter in their win against Baylor, marking this the 5th game the duo has connected for a touchdown and scored. Guys, that is all for the Sun Devil 6. I toss it back to Hannah and Ashton, back at the desk.
Thank you, Tanner. You know, it's not just current Sun Devils making notable impacts, but certain Pro Devils are making huge contributions to their teams. Here is Ryan Moffitt to fill us in on what some of your former favorite Arizona State Sun Devils are up to.
It's been a big week for former Sun Devils who are now finding success in their pro careers. Let's take a look at life after collegiate sports in the Valley. Starting out on the gridiron with running back Cam Scadaboo, putting the nation on watch with an impressive performance on primetime television. Despite the Giants losing to the Chiefs, Scadaboo was nominated for Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week. He finished the game with 121 all-purpose yards and the lone touchdown of the game for New York. He currently ranks 5th in rushing yards among rookie backs this season, but the highlight of the game was a dominant chip block on pass rusher Charles O'Menahue, who might be missing a rib or two after that. Scadaboo put it all on display last Sunday night. Expect to see more stellar plays from Scadaboo as he moves up the depth chart due to an injury to running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Jackson Dart now starting at quarterback. Dart and the Giants will need Scadaboo's help as the schedule doesn't get any easier for the 0-3 Giants. Sun Devils are bringing fire to the plate in the baseball diamond too. Detroit Tigers first baseman Spencer Torkelson is just 1 home run away from setting a new career best. He currently sits at 31 homers this year with 3 games left in the regular season. The Tigers and Torkelson are dead even with the Cleveland Guardians for first place in the AL Central. He will look to continue his success this season as the Tigers look to claw their way into the playoffs. Now think way back to a Sun Devil star in the early 2000s. The National Football Hall of Fame announced its class of 2026 Hall of Fame nominees this week, which included former ASU linebacker Terrell Suggs. The initial list consists of 128 modern-era players. Suggs was a finalist during last year's Hall of Fame voting process when a fellow Sun Devil, Mike Haynes, was inducted. T-Sizzle looks to make history and join the other 5 Sun Devils already in the Hall. He will have to wait as the list nominees dwindles down as the season goes on. The list will be reduced to 50 players in October as Suggs tries to claim his bust in Canton.
Moving over to the court, number 8 Sun Devil Volleyball swept the Sun Devil Classic last week. Opposite hitter Naomi Glover was back in action on the court, improving the Maroon and Gold's record to 9-2. Our Brady Foxville has more on her return.
After being named the Big 12 Player of the Week earlier this season, ASU's Noemi Glover went out with an undisclosed injury against Pitt and has been sitting out ever since, leaving a hole in the Sun Devil front row. In her absence, the Sun Devils were swept by number 2 Texas, leaving fans questioning if this Arizona State squad could compete with the top teams like they did all last year. Well, this last weekend, Glover made her long-anticipated return just in time for the Sun Devil Classic, and she did not disappoint. Let's take a look. On Friday, Glover suited up against Pepperdine to kick off the homestand, tallying 14 kills and 5 blocks, leading the team in both categories, resulting in an ASU sweep. Against GCU, Glover's 12 kills led the team again, and her season-best .524 hitting percentage boosted the Maroon and Gold to another sweep against their crosstown rivals. And after the third and final sweep of the weekend, this time against Milwaukee, Glover ended the Sun Devil Classic with 30 kills and 11 blocks, earning well-deserved tournament MVP honors. As conference play begins today, Glover's presence has brought a new glow to the Maroon and Gold, and the reigning Big 12 champions are willing to do whatever it takes to defend their title. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Brady. Head coach J.J. Van Neal's squad hits the road to take on number 18 Kansas and then Kansas State over the next 3 days. The Sun Devil Stars continue to roll in, this time on the green. Anna Hallgren gets us up to date with the latest on Arizona State golf.
Thanks, Ashton. Arizona State's men's and women's golf will gear up for a busy week ahead, with both teams set up to travel out of state for tournaments. The men's squad was riding high after strong performances in the first 2 outings. However, it will now look to bounce back after a shaky showing at the Fighting Illini Invitational. As a team, the Sun Devils placed 8th out of 15. Junior Connor Williams stood out with his 9th top 10 finish, shooting 1 under par. Coming up this week, ASU will take a trip down to Fort Worth, Texas for the Ben Hogan Collegiate Invitational for the 4th consecutive year. Meanwhile, the women's team placed 4th at the Mason Randolph Championship in Franklin, Tennessee, shooting 8 over par. The Sun Devils now head to the Windy City Collegiate Classic in Illinois. The squad won the tournament in 2024 and is now looking for a repeat finish from last season. Arizona State looks to find its footing after a rough start to the year. Overall, it should be an interesting week for both teams who will aim to get back on track. Back to you guys at the desk.
Switching over to hoops, both men's and women's basketball are set to tip off their seasons at home November 3rd and 4th. Our Adam Cunin has more on their schedule releases.
Thanks, Hannah. It's almost time to tip it off in Tempe. Arizona State men's and women's basketball have resumed practice and are both gearing up for their seasons. And earlier in the week, the Big 12 revealed the conference schedules for both of these squads. Here's how it stacks up on the men's side. Of course, everyone looks for those Arizona versus ASU game. And this season, both of those meetings between the in-state rivals fall in January, with the Sun Devils taking a trip down to Tucson on the 14th, while the Wildcats make their way to Tempe on the 31st. Some other games of note: Sparky will make its first ever trip down to the Fertitta Center on January 18th to take on the reigning national runner-ups in the Houston Cougars. The Sun Devils will also make their first trip down to TCU in program history on February 24th. Meanwhile, on the women's side, Coach Molly Miller's squad had a bit of a more creative way to reveal its conference slate.
Right.
BYU.
Oh, yes! That was so good! You were great!
UCF.
Those were Miller's children, Crosby and Cy, who helped reveal the Sun Devils' Big 12 slate this year. Like the men's team, the women's squad will play Arizona twice within a short time frame, as the Sun Devils welcome the Wildcats to Desert Financial Arena on January 28th, and then hit the road for a Valentine's Day duel at the McHale Center. And how about a revenge game for Molly Miller against Baylor, who bounced her former team, the GCU Lopes, out of the NCAA tournament last year. They'll see the Bears in Waco on February 8th. With the start of the fall season, it seems like before you even blink, it'll be hoop season again. Guys?
Thank you, Adam. Both basketball squads will be looking to improve on lackluster seasons last year. With a tough slate ahead, Sun Devil basketball isn't the only one facing challenging competition, as here is Brennan Bucher, who is live from Mountain America Stadium to preview ASU football's matchup versus number 24 TCU today.
Tonight, ASU looks for their first official 2-0 start in conference play since 2012. Though this marks just the third meeting between Texas Christian University and Arizona State, this feels like a huge rivalry game in Tempe. It's time for Friday Night Lights College Football Edition. And boy, this should be a great matchup. The 24th ranked TCU Horned Frogs come to town, and this is a big time game for Arizona State, possibly their best chance to get back into that top 25 over the next few weeks. Now, what are the keys to victory for Arizona State? Well, first we'll start defensively because you're going up against Josh Hoover, one of the best in the business. He leads all of Division I in passing yards per game. He is a very sound quarterback fundamentally, and I think the biggest key for ASU on defense, linebackers. Jordan Crooks has been leading the unit, and he looks great, but he's going to need to keep that play up. The linebackers are going to need to play really well in pass coverage. We've seen them in the past be very good fundamental tacklers, but if you can avoid those underneath routes, that's where those linebackers can play really well. The Sun Devils will look to continue what has been a pleasant tradition in blackout games, with the Sun Devils looking for their 6th win over a top 25 team in a blackout uniform since the 2011 season. Sam Levitt's going to have to be on his A game tonight. You look at what his connection can be with Jordan Tyson and Shimon Mateer. Those three need to be in sync. TCU has the 113th worst passing defense in all of Division I college football. You're going to need to take advantage of that if you want a win here tonight. Those three have to be on. We've seen great things out of the running back room. If that can stay deep and that can stay consistent, this is a very well-rounded Arizona State team, but they're going to need to show it off tonight if they have ambitions of getting back into that top 25. Guys?
Thanks, Brennan. Dark mode will be in full effect at Mountain America Stadium. The Sun Devils will be wearing all black uniforms with gold lettering and a gold pitchfork. With that, our Kai Janagavis joins us in the studio. Let's break it down. ASU's defense is going to be put to the test tonight against a talented TCU offense. What are the key adjustments we should expect to see from the defense headed into tonight's matchup?
Well, for starters, ASU will have to make sure they stay in zone coverage. This is going to be an important approach this week. The Big 12 used to be a conference that had heavy rushers in Sun Devils' Cam Scatabo, Oklahoma State's Ollie Gordon, and Texas Tech's Taj Brooks. Now we will have to see how Arizona State defensive coordinator Brian Ward handles this adversity. They were able to steal away a win against one of the better QBs in FBS in Sawyer Robinson last week in Baylor, but even then he was still able to pass for 250 yards. TCU's quarterback Josh Hoover is no different, and we've seen ASU get beat in man coverage multiple times this year. So we'll have to wait and see what Ward does with the playbook, but the plan should be making sure they don't get beat over the middle and be wary of the long ball. Lastly, you have to win the turnover battle. The Maroon and Gold came away with 3 turnovers against Baylor last week, and you got to bring that to the table as well. Versus the Horned Frogs' high-powered pass attack, that's something Ward prides himself on, and if ASU can do that, they might be able to walk away with a win.
Agreed. With all that being said, how do you think TCU will fare against all of these changes?
Well, TCU being a very pass-heavy offense isn't just being led by Josh Hoover, but also receiver Eric McAllister, who has 13 receptions for 320 yards. But that's not all. Horned Frogs' other wide receiver, Jordan Dwyer, has 17 receptions for 270 yards. This is a receiving room that will find a way to get open, and Hoover won't stick to just these guys. He likes to get everyone involved. This is a team that doesn't look to run the ball much. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw its running back, Kevron Barnes, get involved more, even with the Sun Devils averaging less than 100 yards on the ground allowed per game. In all, if Arizona State can limit the Hoover Dam and the Horned Frogs' explosive passing offense, they stand a chance in Tempe tonight.
Thanks for joining us, Kai, to break down ASU's defense this week. Only time will tell if the Sun Devils can hand the Horned Frogs their first loss of the season.
Thank you, Kai. Staying on the football side of things, here is Mahir Sinhasan to discuss what the Sun Devils need to do to rewrite their wrongs from the past in the week leading up to the bye.
Thanks, Ashton. It's safe to say there will be a perfect storm in Tempe tonight. Literally, maybe, but definitely figuratively. With the top 25 opponent, a blackout, and 20 to 25 scouts expected to attend, it's a perfect opportunity for head coach Kenny Dillingham's side to build some momentum into a break next week. Take a listen.
We have a really, really good TCU team with a really good quarterback coming in on a Friday night, high emotions, right before a bye week. Like this, we got to push all the eggs or all the eggs or the chips, whatever it is. I don't know. Haven't slept much. Into the middle, right? And we need the fans there. And we just don't need you there. We need you loud.
Now, games before bye weeks have not been kind to the Sun Devils. They're actually 0-3 in those games under Dillingham, which included both of last year's regular season losses to Texas Tech and Cincinnati on the road. The last one of that kind happened on October 7th, 2022 against Washington, when now running backs assistant coach Trenton Bourguet came off the bench and led them to a 45-42 win. The Maroon and Gold will once again have the friendly confines of Mountain America Stadium tonight, but there is still urgency to get a win and their second consecutive 4-1 start. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Mihir. That'll do it for this week's episode of Inside the Inferno. Thanks for sharing the desk with me. Ashton?
The pleasure was all mine. And if you want to keep up with everything Arizona State athletics, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Inferno Intel. And make sure to check out our website at infernointelmedia.com. For Hannah Flanagan and our entire crew behind the scenes, I'm Ashton Sharon, and thank you for tuning in to Inside the Inferno.